We here. We here. We here. You can hit the intro. Yeah. Go ahead the intro. We jump right on it. Good evening, good evening, good evening. This is Joaquin Thompson with the Daily Bread Radio Show, coming to you live from Snellville, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta. So I want to welcome everyone to the radio show this evening. I know we've been getting a lot of new listeners, people reaching out to me, inquiring about the radio show, so I appreciate the support. And what we're going to do now is we're going to play a little quick intro music, and we're going to come right back and get right into the show. We did have a little technical difficulty this evening, had some inclement weather, but we've overcome that and we're ready to roll. So we're going to go into our intro, and then we're going to come right back and get into today's topics.
What song?
Daily Bread. Daily Bread. Hey, that's it. That's what get it going right there. Yeah. Oh, you got to turn that up. I'm about to get in and start. I got her dancing. Well, still getting that beat back. Oh, this gonna be a good show. That's it. That's it. Coming back to you live. This is Joaquin, and I'm definitely that here to serve. So we're gonna jump right in today because some of the feedback from our listeners is like they loving the information I'm giving out, and they want to make sure I don't run out of time. So they wanted me to give some more steps. Let's talk about some steps. So I figured tonight would be a good night for us to go to. We've been in our what I call our basics class. We've been doing the basics, but tonight we want to string a couple of things together. We've been doing a la carte. Now we're going to put a full menu together. So this evening, what I'll do is we're going to talk about debt elimination because that's something that's been on my heart and in my spirit recently because of something about this time of year. Not waiting until the end of the year and getting into the beginning with the New Year's resolutions, but it's a good time to start a nice debt elimination program. And in July, we're going to start our debt club. So over the next 3 weeks, we're going to be talking about credit and debt elimination because one of the things I feel about debt elimination is going to free up some additional funds that you can put towards other things that you want to invest in. And I think it also is going to put you in a more powerful position where you can invest in either real estate or you can start to pay down some other things that you want to get from under and just give you a brighter outlook on life. So debt elimination is one of my favorite parts of credit and financial literacy and credit management. And I think it's also part of the basis of just really getting back on your feet because many a times we get into situations with credit. And the reason we get into situations with credit is because of some of the debts that we've accumulated. So just to give you a very quick recap of some of the topics that we've talked about in previous shows related to credit. Number one, we're going to talk about payment history. So when you think about your payment history is 35% of your overall credit score. So if you're listening to the show, what I always encourage you to do is make sure you have a paper and pencil because a short pencil is better than a long memory. So make sure you're taking notes. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is payment history. So payment history is 35% of your score. The amount of debt that you have accumulated, that's 30% of your score. So thirdly, when you look at your the type of credit that you have, that's 10% of your score. And then you also have your credit mix, which is 10% of your score. And then we also want to make sure that as we put all four of those components together, that we take into consideration everything that goes into your score. So, and the last component would be the length of time that you've had your credit. So sometimes, even though it's just 5 components that go into your overall credit score, many times I get questions about, how do those 3 things or 4 things or 5 things work together? Because they really work in unison. So the thing that I always like to do is I like to encourage individuals to know those 5 components. And when you know those 5 components, then you can manage it from month to month or week to week and day to day. And everything ties into that a la carte that we've been talking about. We've talked about setting up your calendar, and I'll get back into that more in a future show. And after you set up your calendar, you want to get your bills in order. After you get your bills in order, you want to make sure that you have everything organized. You place it on your calendar. You have a household budget. You know exactly what you're going to be doing for the year. So that's going to give you some insight into whether or not you're in a positive or a negative cash flow. Meaning that, you may need to get a part-time job to get some additional income coming in while you're eliminating debts, or you may be in a good position. You just need to reallocate some of the wasteful spending that we have or discretionary money that you have that you're spending on things like eating out or going on trips that you don't necessarily have to go on, things of that nature. So you want to know exactly where you are. And that brings us to today's topic. And I'm going to spend most of the time today just talking about debt elimination, because debt elimination is going to give you some leverage into doing some additional things without having to go to the bank and say, I need a loan. Because many times we have enough income to sustain us from where we are at the level that we're at. That means, when I say sustain us, without you going out incurring any new debt, not the new car, not the new house, not a whole bunch of wardrobe, like, I need new furniture now. Just to take where you are and to stay there, and then you can add some additional things once you get a better handle on how you're managing your money. So thinking about debt elimination and the debt elimination process, I want to take my time this evening and just really walk through a couple of different strategies around debt elimination. And as I've always done on all of my shows, and I'm going to stay true to that, every week I'm going to expose you to a new book. Before I go any further, let me stop right here. Let me put my pencil in, put my pen in and keep my place. I want to say happy anniversary to my awesome, lovely, adorable wife, Tanya Alford Thompson. I appreciate you. You're my rock. We've been together. This is our 26th wedding anniversary, and you see what I'm doing. I'm working. I know that means I got to get some extra points to her because she allowed me to come out and continue to do what I need to do this evening. But definitely we'll get into something this weekend, as we've always done for the past 26 years. We're going to make sure that we do what we need to do so that way we can continue to express our love, our children and our children's children, because that's in the Bible. Our children and our children's children is going to benefit from the union that we've created. So I love you, Mom. Happy anniversary to you, and I'll see you a little later. But getting back to the show, the book that I have this evening that I want to expose everyone to is called Best Credit, How to Win the Credit Game. Best Credit, How to Win the Credit Game. And the author of this book is Dana Neal. And Dana Neal has a very, very, very interesting story, because the person that wrote this book, she wrote this book coming from a space of working at a collection agency. Now, that says a lot. It's not a small book. This is a 420-page book, so this is a pretty intense book. What I mean by intense is it has a lot of information and a lot of things that will help you. So, Best Credit by Dana Neal, How to Win the Credit Game. I would strongly encourage you to go out and get a copy, or you can go on Amazon. It's probably pretty cheap right now because I've had this book for years. But I use it as a resource material, because it's things in this book that I would call credit basics. But as you learn the different credit basics, as you learn how to manage and manipulate this game, then you're going to be in a more advantageous position. Because if you never get to the point where you can learn how to be in this game, it's just like any other game: football, basketball, baseball, the finals, NBA finals. If you don't know the rules to the game, there's no way that you can win. You cannot win. And trust me, all of us are in this game. We've been in this game from the time that we turned 18 and we started getting either payroll income or got our first credit card or opened up a bank account. Whenever you do things related to personal finance, you are in the game. So whether you want to get in the game or not, you in the game. So just think about that. You can't say, I'm not good at basketball, and the coach says, hey, you in the game. This is what this is like. So just think about that. Don't think that you got a lot of time to figure it out, because you don't, because then you start having kids, then you start buying houses and cars. And if you don't know how to play the game, you get deeper and deeper into a space where it just becomes more and more difficult to get out of. So let's talk about debt elimination. So when you think about payment history is 35% of your credit score. Payment history is 35% of your credit score. 35% right off the bat. And then the amount of debt that you have is 30% of your credit score. So that's 65% of your credit score just between those two items. And I'm going to, like I said, in previous shows, we've been doing a la carte. I've been talking about budget, and then we talked about bills, and then we talked about credit. But tonight we're going to start to string some things together. We're going to tie some things together. So now I think the audience is good on the calendar, and they're good on starting to, get their bills organized. Now we're going to start to string some things together so that way you can see how one is interacting with the other one. Hold on one second. Get some feedback. Okay. We was getting some feedback from another studio, so I was going to close the door. But tonight we're going to talk about how one is intertwined with the other one. So you can't manage it separately to say, okay, this is credit history and this is amount of credit. You have to learn how to work with them collectively, because they're interlocked. So when you start talking about debt elimination, debt elimination is primarily two rules of thumb to debt elimination. The one rule of thumb is you can start with your highest bill or your highest interest rate and come down. So that could be like your mortgage. So most people, the largest debt that they have is their mortgage. So this would be like you looking at your mortgage, and for example, say your mortgage is $100,000. And you've already listed in previous shows, you listed out all of your bills, so you know you got your mortgage at $100,000, your car at $20,000, you got credit cards at $5,000 and $6,000 and $4,000 and $3,000 and $2,000. You have everything listed out. So if you went into a debt elimination process and said, hey, I want to start with my highest amount of debt that I have and start to work on that, and once I work on that, I'm going to move down to my next one. This is just my personal opinion. You can do with your money however you see fit. But for me, I need to see some results that will encourage me to keep going. It's just kind of like losing weight. Like you're in Weight Watchers, it's kind of hard to say, well, I'm going to wait till I get to 50 pounds off and start to celebrate. Because between 0 and 50 pounds, it's going to be a lot of struggles. There's going to be a lot of barbecues. There's going to be a lot of steaks. There's going to be a lot of cookies, a lot of ice cream. So you want to pace yourself. You want to pace yourself. So it's the same thing with money. I mean, I'm laughing, but it's not a laughing matter. But I'm laughing because that's just the way that our minds think. So you don't want to wait until you lose 50 pounds before you celebrate. You want to celebrate the small victories. I lost a pound. I lost 2 pounds. I lost 5 pounds. Oh, these pants are fitting a little better. So it's the same concept with money. So for me, I like to go to the second type or the second school of thought, which is to start to eliminate the smallest debts first. The 200s, the 500s, the 600s, the 700s. So I like to go lowest debt to highest debt. And the beauty of lowest to highest, and you can go from highest to lowest. So again, different rules of thumb. I've heard different people talk about it different ways. But for me, I want to go low to high because I get excited when I pay off a bill for $200. Don't have that on my credit no more, number one. Don't have to worry about a late payment, which is number two. Because if you think about it, if your payment history is 35%, you may have a little nagging bill at $100 or $75. If you should just go on and pay off, but instead of you paying it off, you paying the minimum, and then you forget, and then you get a late payment amount, and then you get a 30-day pass through on your credit on a bill that you know you could have paid without a doubt. So I always say start low to high, and then that way as you're knocking things off. The second part to the low to high strategy is this: you have to commit, and it'll be good to get with a partner like a spouse or a friend or someone that you can trust. So when you start talking about, hey, I'm paying off my Visa bill, when you pay the Visa bill off, the thing that you have to do, and what I had to do, and I'll use me for an example because I always like to use me so that way no one gets offended. The thing that I found the most effective, because there's different things when people say don't use the card again. Some people say you could take the credit card, put it in a bucket of water or a cup of water and freeze it, put it in your freezer and freeze it so you don't have access to it. You could put it in a safety deposit box so you don't have access to it. You could give it to a family member that you trust. Let me put that. A family member that you trust that will put it up for you to just kind of help you, be an accountability partner. Say, hey, we're going to put this away. You can do a number of different things. But if you have access to the card, you always run the risk of using the card again. So there's nothing worse than paying off the debt, having the card free and clear, and then you just, well, my card is free. I'm going to just rent a car. I mean, I got $1,500 on my card. It's paid off. It's just $150. And then that turns into $250. So now you start going in reverse. So the best advice I would give you is this. You pay off that credit card, it may be a $5,000 limit. It could be a $1,000 limit. It could be a $200 limit. What I do is this. When I get into the debt elimination process and get focused on debt elimination, which I'm in that space right now, when you pay that card off, what you should do is take your card and get to your closest shredder and shred it. Put it in the shredder, turn the shredder on, and shred the card. Now, the reason that's important is this. If you shred the card, that doesn't mean that the account is closed, because you don't want to close the account, because if you close the account, it's going to bring your credit score down. But if you have a card and you shred it, you still have the account. So Mr. Jane Doe or Miss Jane Doe has the account. It's still open, but you just don't have access to the card in your wallet or on your person. So you really don't have any access to use the card unless you take the steps and reach out to the credit card company and say, hey, I need to get a new card because my card has been lost or stolen. But by the time you go through that process, I'm hoping that something will grab you or compel you like, look, do not use this card, or you do not need to use it. But I know how life is. You may have some type of an emergency, or you need something immediately, and this is a source to help you get through something. I get that. So make sure that it is a true dire emergency. But when you shred that card, that's going to force you to take steps in order for you to get, and it's going to delay the time that you need it. Because sometimes when we get ready to use a credit card, if we just put a day or two in between that desire will go away. Or we'll come to our, like I said, we'll come to our senses and say, you know what, I really don't need a new, whatever a new is. So you go low to high. And as you start working up your list, you got your $200 card off, you got your $500. But the thing that you have to keep in mind is within your budget, whatever payment, and this is called the snowball effect, all right? So I'm gonna walk you all through this. It's called the snowball effect. And what the snowball effect is, you paid off that $200 card, and whatever you were paying monthly on that card, say you was paying $25 a month on that card, and your next card was, say, $500, or whatever your next obligation or liability is, it was $500. So you paying $25 on your $200 card, and your next liability, say, is $500, and you paying, say, $50 a month. When you pay off that low card, that $25, you have to take the 25 and add it to the 50. Now you're paying 75 on the $500 debt. So 25, add it to the 50. Now you're paying 75 to help speed up the time that you pay off the $500 debt. So now you get the $500 debt paid off. If it's a credit card, we're going to do what? Shred it, put it in the shredder, shred it. You got to turn the shredder on. Don't stick it in there and pull it out like I did a couple times. Couple of times I couldn't do it. I was like, ooh. But put it in there, turn the shredder on, and shred the card. Then that way you can get rid of that. But now you got your $25 debt added on to your $50 debt. Once you eliminate that $500 debt, now you got 25 and 50. Now you go up to your third lowest debt. So this might be a $750 debt, and you've been paying, say, $60 on it. So now you're going to take your 25 and your 50, and you're going to add it to your 60. Now you're paying 110 on that $750 debt. And then you just keep moving and keep snowballing. Now, to effectively use the snowball effect, you have to be disciplined, because a lot of times what happens is, as we start to eliminate debt, you get halfway through the process, you say, man, I done paid off $5,000 and I still got a ways to go because I want to pay my house off or pay my car off, what have you. But then you forget to keep doing the snowball effect, and what you end up doing is you revert back to just making the payments, or you will pay a little extra on the payment on your car note by the time you get to your cars, or when you get into the point where you get into your houses or your student loans, things of that nature. You have to be disciplined and follow the protocol. I see Kevin Goodrum on, that's why I threw that in there. That's my frat brother. You have to follow the protocol, because you can't break protocol. That's just a huge no-no. You can't break protocol, and you want to make sure that you stay disciplined to get out of it. Because if you're saying you really want to eliminate that, you have to give yourself a big enough why that you want to do it in order for you to stay on task. Because if not, you're going to start for a little while. It's going to get hard, like all things do. And when it gets hard, you're going to stop. You're going to just, oh, yeah, I paid off that. And then you're going to not put the car in the shredder. You're going to run it back up. So, oh, I needed to do this, or I needed that. And then you're going to be in this constant up, down, or some people like in a circle. But either way, you just up and down, as opposed to going up, over, keep going up, over, and you just keep going up, over. And over time, you'll get to a space where you like, I don't have no car note, I don't have no student loan, I don't have no credit cards, and you're making the same money. So just imagine if you're making the same money and you can eliminate all of that debt with the same money that you're making now. life would be different. Life would be totally different. So if you looked at your income, what you make today, whatever your take-home pay is, and you took out all of your debt, with the exception of property tax, because that's not going to ever go away. You're going to always have property tax, because that's just a gimmick for them to come back and get your house if you don't pay. And your monthly utilities. So you're going to still have to pay Georgia Power every month, or your gas company, or your cell, things of that nature. You're going to have some monthly bills. But outside of that, if everything just went away and you was making the same money, you would have a different lifestyle. You could do things differently. You would have a different peace of mind. Because it's really, I know for some people it's about money and the accumulation of money, but I think even more important than money and accumulation of money is peace of mind. And that's something that I always want you all to take away from the Daily Bread Radio Show, that it's not about just money. We do need money as a tool to help us do the things that we need to do, because that's the type of society that we live in. We live in a capitalistic society that's based on utilizing money. So I get that. But what's even bigger than money is the ability to have peace of mind. Peace of mind. Go to sleep in peace. Wake up in peace. Talk to people in peace. So that way when your friend is angry and your coworkers and people all worked up about you, you could be like, hey, I'm good. I'm not engaging you. I'm not mad, because you got that burden off of you. And then, like we talked about on previous shows, it goes down into your legacy. So the number to the show, if you want to call in, if you got a question or concern, or if you want to learn some more information, or you got a specific comment that you want to leave, the number to the show is 678-381-1973. 678-381-1973. The phone lines are open. You're welcome to call in. We appreciate the support. We see a ton of people on Facebook Live, and I really appreciate the support, because this is my 10th show, and I got 1,000 to do. So got a ways to go. I was thinking about that coming in, because some 10 shows would be a while. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go into a quick song, and when this song finishes, I'll be back in, and we're going to go to Marvin Sapp, The Best in Me. Oh, the best in me. Okay, we're back. We're back. And I wanted to put that into the show today because that was something again that was on my mind. And the thing about, if you listen to the words of what Marvin Sapp is saying, it's right in line with this debt elimination, because a lot of people, they talk to us about what we can and can't do, what we can and can't achieve. And so the person that's most important that should be talking to you is you. I mean, that's who should be talking to you, and that's who you should be listening to. Don't let all of that other stuff. And like he said in the song, he saw the best in you, even when you didn't see it in yourself. So just think about that. And we're gonna bring it back to talking about debt elimination. So, like I said, you have two different strategies. You got the high-low strategy that you can use, or you can go low-high. I personally like low-high. We talked about the snowball effect and how you take each bill, take that first bill, pay it off, take that $25 that you was paying on that first bill, add it to your second bill. Now you got $75 that's going towards that $500 bill. Pay that off, and you take both of those. Now you got the 25 plus the 75, and you add that to the third bill. Maybe another $60 that you've been paying there. Now you take the aggregate of that, the 75 plus the 60, add them together. You got 111, 115, and then 135. I'm tripping, but you just add that, and you just keep going. You just keep going. I've done that before. I've done it a couple of times in my lifetime. It works very well. The good thing about technology today is too, you can take this and do it digitally. So I know a lot of people have online banking now. You even got apps on your phone. You can just go into your app. You can set things to be in an automatic payment, an automatic draft. That way it's going to eliminate the risk of you having a late payment and impacting your payment history. And then also it's going to bring down the debt amount. So payment history is 35%. The amount of debt that you have is 30%. That's 65% of your credit score. So when you start doing your debt elimination, the question becomes, how is that going to impact your overall credit score? So let me answer that for you. As you're going through a debt elimination process, each time that you make a payment, an on-time payment, is going to strengthen your payment history. So you're going to minimize the risk of you paying late, having a late fee, or having a late entry entered into your credit score. So anytime that you have a 30-day late on your credit score, that is very derogatory, because what it says to other lenders or potential lenders is that here's a person that has a late payment. And it can be so impactful that a lot of companies now, because of this digital age, if you make a late payment on one account, say like your car note, then other accounts like your credit card company, they are also monitoring your credit report. They can come in and say, you know what, you had a $1,500 limit, but right now we're going to put a freeze on your credit card until we get into a position where we feel comfortable that you can make additional charges. And you don't have to believe me, try it out. And then when you get that notice, when you go to use your card, you're like, well, I know I got, and you reach out to them, they'll just say, hey, well, we saw some things recently in your credit report, and we felt like it would be in our best interest to make sure that we put a limit on your card, or we change the limit. So don't want to go that way. So when you start thinking about the debt elimination, it's going to improve your payment history, which is 35% of your credit score. The other thing it's going to do is going to bring down the amount of your overall debt. So as you bring down your debt, here's a question for the audience. And the phone lines are open, 678-381-1973. 678-381-1973. And here's a question for the listening audience. For everyone that's on the radio show, for everyone that's on Facebook Live, here's a question for you. How frequently, and here's the question, I'm talking about today. Now, we're not going to talk about historically how this worked, because historically it was a different answer to this question, but this is something that I noticed recently, as recent as the last few months, because I've been looking at it. How frequently does your credit score change over time? Like how frequently? And the things that you do. So that means if you go out and charge something, or if you pay something off, or if you eliminate a debt, how frequently is your credit score changing over time? So again, the call-in number is 678-381. If you think you know the answer, give us a call at Radio Show. We would love to, dialogue with you. 678-381-1973. And I'm going to leave that there. I'm not even going to answer it for you. I'm going to see if somebody's bold enough, courageous enough, they want to call in and give us some feedback on what they think the answer to that is. And I'll save the answer to that. And if no one calls in the next, I would say before the show ends, I'll share the answer with you all. So that way everybody will leave this conversation and know the answer to it and know how important it is for you to continue to stay on this debt elimination process. The other thing with debt elimination, we want to talk about debt amount, is nothing better than getting your debts down, because what getting your overall debt amount down is, it naturally rolls into the third component of your credit score, which is what? Your credit utilization, which means what? The amount of credit that you're using. What does that mean? Now we're talking about the third component. You got payment history at 35%. Payment history at 35%. You got the amount of overall debt at 30%. You at 65%. Here's another 15%, right? So another 15%, you at 80%. 80% of your score. So when you bring down your overall debt and it rolls into that third piece, which is debt utilization, you're going to be getting points. Why are you going to be getting points? Because you got a $5,000 card or a $1,000 card, and instead of you being at $999 of credit usage on your card, you're at zero. So when I say, well, hey, you got a card, you got a $1,000 limit, and now you're down to zero. You got a $2,000 limit. Before you started your debt elimination process, you were at $1,999. So that was bringing your credit score down. Now that you're on your debt elimination plan and you're paying off all of these debts, now your balance is zero on the card. You've put the card in the shredder. Now you got $2,000 of available credit. And what does that say to creditors? That says to creditors that what you can do, you can manage and have access to credit, or in some cases it's money, because this could be a personal line of credit, and you don't have to be maxed out. So that means that you have capacity. It's called capacity. You have capacity to do more with what you have, and you can be trusted with more. So as they pull your credit and they look and say, well, hey, you got this card for $1,000, zero balance. You got another card for $2,000, zero balance. You got another, oh, your car is paid off. Oh, I see that your house is halfway paid off. Now when you walk in, you look a lot more attractive to the lender and not like a risk. Because anytime that you apply for anything, credit card, car note, or car loan, mortgage, the only thing they're looking at is how attractive is this person? And it's almost like physical attraction. So I see a couple of people, they're chiming in with some answers on the Facebook Live, and maybe they're not close to their cell phone. 678-381-1973. If you're close to your phone, give us a call. Throw out some of those answers. I see a couple of different answers. I see Kevin has 30-day updates are made by credit bureaus, all three of them. Okay, so we're going to leave that there. So, Kevin Goodrum, good friend of mine, super duper guy, super duper good. My frat brother, my LB, my line brother. So he has an answer. So if you want to enter your answers on Facebook Live, I'll throw those out there as well. So if you don't want to call in, maybe you got the squeaky voice today or something, or maybe it's just something about being on the radio with a celebrity, you get nervous. I don't know what it is. Whatever it is, if you want to call in, you can call in 678-381-1973. We all family, but if you want to put your answers on Facebook Live, you can do that as well. But it just naturally, getting back to the topic, as you eliminate debt through your debt elimination process, it's going to bring your payment history. It's going to improve your payment history. It's going to bring your overall amount of debt down. That's that 65%. And now you're going to another level. Now you're going to 80% because now it's going to impact your utilization of available credit. And you're going to look more attractive. It's kind of like putting on makeup. It's kind of like putting on that whatever that is for you. You know that outfit. Whatever that outfit is that make you look, swole or buffed or, curvy. You know the outfit. You know the one you like to wear, the one you get all the compliments in. That's how it's going to make you look from a lender's perspective. Because when they look at your credit report, and they are looking and they are monitoring all the time, especially with this new technology, what's going to happen is you're going to just look a lot more attractive. And that's 80% of your credit score, just debt elimination. So now we've gone from a la carte, now we're doing entrees at this point. So now we've talked about credit, we're talking about payment history, we're talking about overall amount of debt, and now we're talking about the third component, which is utilization of available credit. So that's an entree. That's like meat, potatoes, a little side of plantains. If you're into some Jamaican food, because I'm thinking about some Jamaican food. If you into, whatever you into, but those three components will get you going and make you look a lot more attractive, and it will help you in the long run. And then you can string it up. I'm gonna string it up with some other things as we go on, but again, these are the basics. We're gonna get the basics down, the fundamentals. This is like punt, pass, and kick. We're going to get that down first, and then we're going to go into some high level and run some more difficult plays with some more X's and O's. But trust me, this works. If you're not on a debt elimination plan, please, please, please get on one ASAP. Because if you haven't done your budget, do your budget ASAP. If you haven't gone out and purchased your desktop calendar, and I'll walk through that again within the next 3 weeks to walk you through the steps. So again, summer is the perfect time to get on debt elimination programs and, getting finances in order, because this is a time where we tend to have a little bit more, free time. The kids are out of school and a lot of people are traveling, people are taking time off from work. Why not take some time, invest in yourself, invest in you, make sure that you're spending time to learn the basics of personal finance and learn how you need to effectively manage your money, so that way you and your children and your children's children will understand this game that we're in, because it's a vicious game. Some people learn how to play it. They play it very well. And it has nothing to do with education. Let me say that again. I'm a big proponent of education. Get your education, get your papers, because we got to say it. More paper means more paper. More paper means more paper. I get it. But there's a lot of people out there that don't have degrees, that have learned how to play this game at a very, very nice, consistent pace. And I'm not talking about get-rich-quick schemes and, I'm going to make $1 million next week as soon as I build my downline. It's going to take me a week. No, I'm talking about people who've taken some strategies and said, over the next 5 years, I'm going to have $100,000 in the bank. I'm going to be totally debt-free. I'm going to, have some money set up in my life insurance plans and things of that nature that you can do, everybody can do, but you have to make the decision first. And that's the first step in the daily bread process, which is make a decision. Second step in the process is to create a plan. The third step is start saving. Fourth step is make sure that you start to protect all of that stuff that you've done in the first 4 steps. And the fifth step is giving. That's the daily bread process. So I'm going to keep bringing that up, because that's what everything that I do, everything that we're talking about on the show is surrounded by those 5 key tenets. So debt elimination is right in there, because as you eliminate your debt, you're gonna free up some more capital, you're gonna look more attractive. And then if you want to leverage into things like purchasing a house and fixing it up and then flipping it or whatever you want to do, you're just gonna have some more access to capital, because you're going to need access to capital. You're either going to be funding projects on your own, which that's fine as well, because some people are in a position to do that, or you're going to be able to do what we call use other people's money. And it's nothing like using other people's money to, borrow $1,000, make $1,500, get them their money back, go back to the bank, say, hey, let me borrow $2,500. I paid that back on time, and just get into bigger numbers. Let me borrow $100,000. Let me borrow $200,000. Let me borrow $1 million. Or get with a group of people, which is the long-term vision for the listeners of the Daily Bread Radio Show, where we put an investment group together. The first step is going to be, I'm going to put a debt elimination group or a debt club together, and we're going to kick that off July the 4th. So if you're interested in being a part of that, stay tuned. you can reach me, or you can send me an email if you want to, send me something. Say, hey, I definitely want to be a part of that. I'll give you some more information on that in the upcoming weeks. But we're going to put together a debt elimination club for everyone. It has nothing to do with how old you are. It has nothing to do with your gender. We're just looking for people that's sick and tired of being sick and tired and just talking about it. Now you're ready to do something. And now you're ready to be held accountable. Not by your friend, not by your spouse, but somebody that don't know you to say, hey, I thought you said you was going to do such and such. Because sometimes we're more accountable to other people than we are to ourselves. So we're going to have that coming up as well. And we're going to start creating some peace of mind one at a time. Looking to help out a lot of students with some scholarships this year. Because like I said, talked about this on previous shows where we got a lot of students that are entering their senior year this fall, and they're going to exhaust all of the accessible money, student loans, money from family members, and they're going to get into the second semester, the spring semester of 18, and they're not going to have the funds to graduate. So we want to be able to put ourselves in a position to insert ourselves, help somebody out, sow a seed, pour into some other lives, so that way we can make everybody's situation better. Because anytime that you give, you always are going to receive. It's just a natural law. It's like gravity. The more you give, the more you're going to receive. You don't have to necessarily be looking for it to come back. It's just going to come back. That's just the way that it works. So to wrap up today's show, I know we got a few minutes left. If you want to call into the show, you still have time. 678-381-1973. 678-381-1973. And the question that's on the clock, as we say at this time, is how often does your credit report update over time? And so far, we only have one answer, and that's it updates every 30 days. And that was from a good friend of mine. He inserted that. Looking for some additional answers. If you want to answer on Facebook, you can do that. If you want to call into the show, 678-381-1973. Next week's show, we're going to stay with credit. Want to make sure that because the feedback that I'm receiving from the listeners is that they want to hear, just like a series of information. So they don't want me to do credit this week, and then next week I'll jump off into, something else that's not related to credit. So what I'm going to try to do over the next 3 weeks is build this in a series. So we started off with, we're going to stay on credit in those 5 components. By the end of this 3-week series, my desire or my expectation of this group would be you would know the 5 key components that go into a credit score. You would know the percentages that go into your credit score, and you would know some strategies on how you can improve it on a day-to-day basis, on a week-to-week basis, on a month-to-month, year-to-year basis. That's my desire for you as we go through this series. So I've heard from the listeners. I'm going to stay true to that. And even to the point where the books that I recommend, I'm going to make sure that they're in line with the things that we're talking about. So if you want to go out to Amazon and pick the book up and start to work through it, you can do that as well. But it's going to be in line with what that series is going to be over the next 3 weeks. So we're going to be talking about credit the next 3 weeks and different components of credit. And as you tune in and you listen and you have questions, you can always call us in the studio, 678-381-1973. Or you can send us an email, dailybreadradioshow@Yahoo, dailybreadradioshow@Yahoo.com. You can send me a tweet. I'm still working out my Twitter action. Every time I get into Twitter, I get confused because some kind of way I start tweeting, and then when I think I want to retweet or something, I end up I'm sending something to Donald Trump. I'm saying I don't want to fool with that guy, but I'm still working on my Twitter. But if you want to reach out to me on Twitter, it's Joaquin Thompson at Daily Bread Radio. Joaquin Thompson at Daily Bread Radio on Twitter. So you can send me a tweet, and if I don't tweet you right back, just know that I really being good. I really want to get to you, but I'm trying to still figure it out, man. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'm pretty intelligent. Once I put my mind to it, I'm gonna focus. I'm gonna get me a tweeter book, a tweeter, like my old people say. Give me a tweeter book and start talking about my Twitter. But we at the top of the hour. It's great. It was a great show. I really appreciate everybody's energy, whether or not you believe it or not. The energy from people on the Facebook Live, people on the phone, people in the universe just wishing me well, and really, and my thing to you is, don't let this information just be entertaining. I know I can talk. I mean, I've been told that I can talk. I get it. But what I want you to do is, I want you to challenge me. Challenge me and go out, get a book, set your budget up, start a debt elimination program, and call into the show and start talking. Let's have a dialogue about it. I'm not the expert in every area, but I know a lot of stuff about a lot of things, and I'll be more than happy to share that with you at no cost to you. Just call in, let me know, or you can, email me, or send me a Twitter, or tweet or what have you, and then I'm going to start doing some more posting on tweets and some more YouTubes and things of that nature. So the business and the product is definitely growing. Daily Bread Radio Show, and I appreciate everybody tuning in this week. Nothing but love for everybody on all of the Facebook Live, from my daughter Ashley, Kevin Goodrum, Sheila Goodrum, my wife. Happy anniversary, baby. 26 years and counting. We still going. Loretta, that's my sister. My son is on. I appreciate you, man. I love you to death. I love my daughter to death. I love my other daughter to death, Nia Thompson. Patrice Lowe, I appreciate the support. And everybody, if I left off any names, charge it to my head, not to my heart, because I'm really trying to make sure that I get everybody. I love y'all. Y'all have a great evening. And I'll see you all next week. And share this information with somebody. Send a share. We send it out to them people twerking, people fighting, people. Send this out to like 2 people. Say, man, you need to check this brother out. He on there, he be tripping. He don't know what he talking about. We need to go on there and call in and tell this dude he don't know what he talking about. That way we can get more people to call in and listen in and doing that thing. And over time, we're gonna build a movement. Hey, I love y'all. Y'all have a great evening. Appreciate you. See you next week, 8 to 9, Daily Bread Radio Show. Y'all have a great evening.
It's good, man. You know something. Like you know something.
Man.